Hi guys, hope you're well. Got a question for you, Bradley. All right. I know you mentioned in the V2 training about selling networks to local business owners, but how do you sell them on the benefits, and how were you prospecting when you were selling multiple networks a month? I know that might be too in-depth to answer here, but I can build networks pretty damn fast now. Well, that's sweet, Mark. And would like to be able to build up some cash by selling some networks. So any advice on prospecting and selling the benefits would be much appreciated. Thanks. That's actually a really good question, Mark. You know, we have... I thought I had training in the V2 course about reselling networks. If not, I know that we did it in the monetization webinar, which was the bonus webinar after the launch was over. So you might want to go back and review that because we talk about monetizing it in there in depth. But we can cover it briefly here as well. When I was selling a lot of networks, it was basically because, well, first of all, I had a pretty big client base. So when I started selling networks, I was able to just basically what I call shake the bushes, and that's just go hit my existing contact base or my client base and upsell them on additional services. And that was pretty simple. But then whenever I go to prospect or pitch for any new clients, which I do very little of now, if at all, but when I was pitching or prospecting clients, then I would, you know, it's just part of an overall SEO strategy. So when I would, you know, it wasn't necessarily that I was just selling them a network, like, and that was it. It was an overall strategy for marketing services, right? Which would include SEO, local SEO if they were a local business, and then content marketing, and it's all one and the same. You know, when I provide marketing services, it's not just SEO on page or off page. Very, very rarely did I ever have any clients where I was just providing like link building services, for example. Most of the time it was an all-encompassing overall marketing strategy, which included on-page SEO, social media, content marketing, off-page SEO, so link building, that kind of thing. But all of that was pretty much accomplished through the IFTTT networks and content marketing. Right, and so that's pretty much the foundation that all of my SEO services were built upon, and that's how I've been doing it for years. But as far as selling on the benefits, what I would do is I would ask questions of prospects. And by the way, in case you guys aren't aware of that, that's the best way to pitch clients, is to ask them questions about their marketing strategy, because then you allow them to speak and uncover their weaknesses for you. And then you can craft your message based around their responses, and you can actually lead them into coming. They come to the realization that their marketing sucks on their own without you having to point that out, because you just get them talking about their marketing strategy. So one of the things that I would do often was I would ask, you know, Mr. Business Owner, are you doing any social media marketing? And invariably, or 90% of the time, the answers were either no, or yeah, we post on our Facebook page occasionally, but it's never done anything for us. And that's it. and those are pretty much the two standard responses that I would get, was either no, we don't do any social media marketing, or yes, I did this or that and it didn't work, so I stopped. And so I would explain to them that you know, part of the reason, hey, look, I completely understand, you know, if you only post on your Facebook page once every now and then, or send a tweet out every now and then, you can't really expect to get any results. And I understand, because you're running your business, that you don't have time to manage all these social media profiles and properties. However, you would agree that if you were to have consistency in your social media marketing, you'd probably see some fairly good results. Am I right? Yes. Okay, well, what were you doing whenever you tried to do any social media marketing? Tell me about what your strategy was, and then I let them talk a little bit, so I get to hear about how bad it was. And then I would use some of their answers, or some of their answer, in part of what I would say about, okay, well, this is what we can do, and would you agree? You always want to ask leading questions where you can get that yes. You want to keep getting a yes answer out of your clients, right, or out of your prospects, because that puts them in that positive frame of mind where they're more likely to say yes later on to your proposal. Okay, but again, ask a lot of questions. And then what I would do is I would explain to them that if we had a way where we could just focus on updating content in one location, which would be their main website or their blog, but you don't say blog to a prospect because they don't understand what that means most of the time. We just say, if we were to update content in just one location on a regular basis, your website, and then have that content automatically distribute across all of your social media profiles, plus, you know, all the main social media platforms, and I would list them off: Google Plus, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, you know, YouTube if you're using video, Pinterest if you wanted to. I would start naming off the main ones that they would know about, and then I would say, plus in addition to that, about 15 other sites, social media and Web 2.0 type platforms, and I would say other sites on the web where we could republish your content all from one location. You only have to manage one location. Don't you think that that would be a lot easier to manage? Well, yeah, of course it would, right? And they would say, yeah, well, yeah, of course it would. All right, well then here, let me show you what this is a service that I can provide, and let me show you how it works. And I would show them a graphic, the same graphic that you guys have access to, which would just show that wheel, essentially, that network ring. And I would say, look, this is the center point here. This is your website. All we need to do is make sure that I have this system or the structure set up properly. Everything's going to be branded. It's going to have a consistent theme. The graphics are going to be consistent across all of them, so it'll be your branding, your logo, all that. And then all we need to do is update content from your website, right? Publish content regularly and consistently to your website, and that's going to automatically update all of these properties, which is going to help help with your SEO. In other words, it's going to help you to rank better in Google, and it's also going to help to generate additional traffic outside of Google, because on all of those platforms there's traffic as well. And that's how I would always frame it. I wouldn't frame it as like the geeky, like, trust me guys, I'm 100% guilty of using SEO terminology with prospects, and that's the quickest way to lose a prospect, is to start using our industry terms with them. The best
no techno babble. Yeah, no techno babble. Tell them the results and then walk them through what's going to happen. Get them thinking about what they're going to have at the end of all of this.
You want to simplify it, boil it, dumb it down, so to speak, for the clients. You don't want to use the techno babble, as Adam just said. You want to really, like I said, the way that I had really good success with always asking a lot of questions, asking leading questions to where I'd get them to agree and say yes, yes, yes multiple times, and then I would use some of their responses to the questions that I asked in how I would frame my proposal. And then, I mean, it was pretty much a no-brainer. I probably sold, I would say, an 80% close ratio on, I don't have exact figures, but I would say probably 8 out of 10 people that I would pitch a network to, I'd be able to sell them on it. Even clients that I didn't have ongoing SEO services with, I could still sell IFTTT networks to if they were doing some sort of content, regular publishing on their blog, even irregular. For example, I have an eye doctor client. She's one of the most low maintenance clients I've ever had. I've had her for five years now, or 4 years. Well, 4 years, because since I opened my age, she's one of my first clients. I still do SEO services for her. You guys would puke if you found out how little I charge her per month, but she was one of my first clients, and she's just been grandfathered into that price ever since. But she does a blog post about once per quarter. Once per quarter year, guys. That's like once every 3 months she'll do a blog post. But that was enough for me to be able to sell her on an IFTTT network. Even though I don't do any content marketing for her, all I do is maintain her maps position, and that's it. But because she posted once every quarter or so about 3 or 4 posts per year is really what she does, I told her, hey, you would benefit from having this network. And I explained it to her, and then she purchased it, and I was able to make $700 or $800 or whatever it was that I charged her. Actually, at the time, for her it was probably a lot less, but to charge her for that network. And now every time she does a post, it syndicates out across her network. There's not near as much activity as she should have, but I was still able to sell her on that network. So hopefully that was helpful. But Adam, you'd know. What's the name of that? Is it Ask? The name of the question or the book?
Yeah, it's by Ryan Levesque. If I messed up his name, I'm sorry, but it's Ask. Yes, you can. Yeah. That's a great
book. There's another one. Shit, I can't remember the name of it now. If I can think about it, there's another book that I read that was similar to that one, and that's the one that taught me how to ask questions the correct way when prospecting. It's kind of a sales type book, but if I can remember it after the webinar, guys, I'll come back and post it on this page, a link to that book, because it was a really, really good book.